One of them wanted to be the security guy. He claimed he was a security guy.
Welcome to Security Guy Radio. What's your name?
My name is Stuart Rawling, and I'm with Pelco by Schneider Electric, but today I'm representing ONVIF.
What's that stand for?
ONVIF is a industry alliance of manufacturers that come together to create standards to help IP video surveillance and IP access control products and all aspects of physical security work in the market.
So it's an organization.
It's an organization.
Is it
yes.
organized as a corporation or just a membership or what?
Yes, it's a membership. It's a non-profit.
Non-profit, okay.
A non-profit organization that basically recruits manufacturers, and we have over 500 manufacturer members.
That's a huge membership.
It is. We have a lot of people. When we look at that list, and you look at the show floor here at ISC West, you'll see a lot of crossover. Most of the major manufacturers on the show floor today will be ONVIF members.
How does ONVIF help our industry, security industry?
Well, you look at a lot of the problems that we've had in the industry as we transition to IP. We have a lot of proprietary protocols.
Yeah, the proprietization, your BIOS doesn't work on somebody else's system. That's a big problem. Yeah.
Exactly. So ONVIF was formed in order to help address that issue. So all of the different manufacturers get together and get to work on making a standard that all the manufacturers can then implement that allows ease of interconnection and interoperability, providing end users, installers, a way to swap out with different like products from different manufacturers.
And how do you achieve that standardization? What, do you have a word for it besides standardization, or how do you do it?
Yeah, we generate the specification, we let the manufacturers implement it, and then we allow them to go through what we call the conformance process. This is a process where the manufacturers will look at their product, they'll use the test tool that ONVIF provides, which runs thousands of tests on the product.
Thousands?
Thousands of
tests.
Like
a benchmark?
It's a benchmark.
Yeah, right.
And then at the end of that, if all the tests pass, they'll spit out a document that says the test results, as well as a document that is the declaration of conformance. They then sign that, submit it to the ONVIF office. That is reviewed. If there's any issues, we'll get back to the manufacturer. If there are none, it goes on the ONVIF website.
Now, how do you handle things like Sony? I'm guessing Sony might be a member. Maybe I'm wrong.
Sony is a founding member, yes.
Okay, so Sony has a Wazoo 7K camera and Secret Squirrel patents and things like that. They're just bringing them up to a standard, but they're not sharing technology with competitors, I guess.
No, I mean, if you're looking at how their image pipeline works in the hardware or how their IOP works, whatever it is,
yeah,
that is not something you expose on the network as an API. So what they do expose is how do I get the video from point A to point B, and that's the thing that we can actually work on standardizing.
Oh, interesting. All right. So what if I take ONVIF and stick it on my business card, and I'm not really an ONVIF member? What do you guys do about it?
Well, if you're not an ONVIF member and you put it in your business card, then and we find out about it, we will be in contact. We have to protect the brand of ONVIF, and last year we launched an enforcement campaign and an education campaign in order to go look at where in the market there might be false claims of conformance and where in the market people might be using the ONVIF logo and the ONVIF brand incorrectly.
Right.
We call it education because a lot of the time we had to go there and chat with people and say, did you realize this is a process to this? And by doing so, we actually increased our membership and we got more conformant products launched.
So they may not have been malicious about it. They just may have thought,
right, it's an industry standard. Why can't we use it?
Yeah.
And they just went down that process. Once we brought them in and had that conversation with them, then they understand it better and they follow the guidelines.
So you're going to create a profile. That's what you call the standard, is it? The conforming. What is it?
Right. So we have a core specification, which is
right.
a technical document, but then we create profiles in order to make the understanding, the concept of what a section of that specification is. The standards are split into what we call profiles, and these are basically feature sets that cover a specific use case. For example, our first profile, Profile S, was aimed at the connectivity of network video and audio, pan-tilt zoom controls, authentication, the core necessities in a video management system. And that was our first profile. Then we moved on to a follow-up profile, Profile C, which is focused around access control, simple device access control, opening doors, door control, things like that. Then the third profile that we released last year was Profile G, and that was about storage and content management, everything you need to do to be able to store and retrieve video from a VMS or onboard storage and cameras.
Now, do you have to buy into this to want to do the standardization? Here's my deal. When I was at Fox and Disney, I was a buyer, right? Mm-hmm. So I bought all these access control systems and all these camera systems, and some, like, I can't remember the name of it, and some used HID cards, right?
Right.
Generic, and then some are proprietary. And if I didn't have their BIOS and their proprietary stuff and their software, I couldn't work any other systems with mine.
Right.
So your organization attempts to make standards for those things so everybody works together,
right.
and that benefits the group as a whole.
Yes, and there is no, if you're buying a product that has ONVIF conformance, we don't encourage our manufacturers to make that a differentiator. The whole purpose is to have everybody having the same thing. The manufacturers that participate in the standards development or our members, they do contribute financially. So we have 4 tiers of membership. The top tier, which is the full member, and then there's a contributing member, and those two can get involved in the working groups and help drive the standard. And then we have a user member. User member is just a manufacturer potentially who wants to claim conformance. Nobody can claim conformance unless they're a member of ONVIF and have submitted the conformance documents and followed the conformance process.
So define the word conformance.
Well, conformance to us, let's take an example of a camera. Always best to talk through examples. Yeah. With a camera, ONVIF provides its members a test tool. The test tool runs a gamut of tests, and it takes quite a while, and at the end of it, it outspits a report that shows what passed and what failed in that test. The manufacturers then work through an iterative process and resolve any bugs just like they would everything else, and when they get to the end, they end up with a declaration of conformance that they can then send, and it gets reviewed by the ONVIF office, and then the ONVIF office will list it on their website. And the website is the only place that you should that's the holy grail. That's where you go to make sure that a manufacturer who claims conformance actually has passed the test.
Right. Well, that's interesting. And 500 members seems like a lot to me.
It's been growing fast. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the show floor at ISC West here, you're walking around. There's lots of ONVIF logos and member placards and everything. All the major players in the industry are part of ONVIF.
So, I'm speaking to some integrators.
Right.
And there's an organization of integrators that has a similar consortium of people, and they get together to set standards. And it benefits me as a buyer because I can pick up the phone and I can get an integrator anywhere in the country in any state, right?
Right.
And with your organization, I can see if who I'm using in my studio is on that list and using the right stuff. Because when you do these big construction projects, and if you're a buyer of this, when you know what's going on, and the construction guy comes in and says, oh yeah, this is the best camera, this works great, and it turns out it's out of a cereal box and you get ripped off, right? This really sounds like this is setting a standard that I can rely on. Now, if somebody tries to say their conformance is there and it falls below or it's not, how do you guys keep track? How do you police that to make sure they're not pulling a fast one on you?
Right, and then we have, in the last year, we actually launched an education and enforcement campaign. And when we went out, and we've been monitoring the internet, looking out there for who's making claims of conformance who aren't a member, who haven't even followed the conformance
Are they doing
process.
that?
We have found people doing that.
That's amazing. Well, it's free society, that's what you get.
A lot of it's about education, though. A lot of it, people don't actually realize that they need to follow this process. And they can download, our specifications are available publicly on the internet. It's a conformance process, it's a member process.
Oh, so some people might say they're in conformance, not trying to rip anybody off, but they're just not getting it. And they have to belong to your organization for that to pass, yeah.
So when we've gone back to them and we've had that conversation, they've joined and they've followed the process, and it's actually been very positive. And so that's one of the things that we're doing, a lot more outreach and a lot more education to try and make sure people are aware of exactly the benefits. The thing that we have to be careful of is if we don't police that and we don't protect that, then the ONVIF kind of brand and that level of conformity is at risk. So we do take it very seriously.
Yeah, you should.
And we want the benefits that we're offering will not be there if we end up letting this kind of go organically and everybody can claim it.
So I worked at Disney, right?
Right.
Mickey Mouse, the most recognized icon in the world still to this day.
Yes.
Somebody puts on a Mickey Mouse suit in front of a Hollywood theater, they're down there taking care of it. They protect the brand.
Right.
And that goes to the integrity and quality.
Right.
So what's a Profile Q?
Profile Q is the newest profile that we're launching in probably about the June timeframe. Right now we're in the review process, so we published the spec back in December to our manufacturers. We've got some manufacturers now doing prototypes. We've got some prototypes at the booth here today. This came from about a year ago. We did an exercise when we were really looking about, how is ONVIF being received in the market? What are the system integrators saying? What are the consultants saying? What are the end users saying when they're using ONVIF products? the thing that we found was that once they were running, they were great, but we found quite a discrepancy in how easy it was between manufacturer and manufacturer to get the things set up in the first place. Some manufacturers had to check the box, turn ONVIF on, and some manufacturers didn't. Some, there was some variance there. So what we decided to do was to make a new profile that basically addresses the setup stage. This is covering all types of devices. This covers a video camera, a VMS device, access control device, anything in the future. It's all about that setup stage. IP addresses, authentication, security. Security is really big now. The Internet of Things, the way everything's getting connected, going back to the baby monitor story, making sure we have that.
It's more dangerous than ever in a way.
It is, and it's going to get worse.
Right.
So we have to get ahead of the game until we put our advanced security configuration or advanced security protocols into the profile queue. And that covers a baseline for all types of devices that you get connected. So you will be able to use it to set up all ONVIF profile queue devices on the network.
So you test that, and why is this recently released client test tool so important?
We've been developing the test tool since 2010 to be more comprehensive and to cover more use cases. When we first released it, we had a good idea what we wanted it to be.
Right.
But as we go out there in the market and these things get deployed, we recognize we maybe need to be tighter here, we maybe need to be tighter there, because the specifications sometimes can be interpreted incorrectly.
Yeah.
And unless we're testing for that, we don't catch it.
Now, by the way, do you retest? So once I get certified,
Yes.
and I belong to your group, and I stick my camera in my end user, and technology advances, maybe that standard now is not the gold standard anymore because technology's advanced. Do we go back and recertify it at that original passing level, or do we try to upgrade it, or how do you?
The profiles are a milestone in time. The profiles
makes sense, based on the technology.
Based on the technology. So once you pass conformance to a profile, the profile doesn't change.
Okay.
But you will have additional profiles, and that's why we've added Q with the security.
New cameras, new technology, new profile. All right.
So as we go to H265 and 4K, and we go into bigger access control implementations, there's going to be new tests and new profiles that actually address those situations.
So what type of people belong to your group?
Oh, we have, the
camera access control.
Cameras, access control. We have founding members, Axis, Sony, and Bosch. We have Pelco, obviously, who I represent.
Yeah.
We have Hikvision. We have Daiwa. On the booth, we've got Bosch and D-Link and Avigilon and OnCam Grandi.
So if you're on the net with your device, you could be a member, basically.
Pretty much. If the majority of the industry is a part of ONVIF and has conformant products. Today we've got 4,400 plus products listed on the website.
4,400?
Yes.
Wow. They're all passing your standard.
Right, and that doesn't represent the total number of devices either, because the way that the conformance process can work is you can submit a conformance document for a family of cameras as long as they have essentially the same function. If there's maybe a different lens or something like that, it doesn't affect the impact. It doesn't impact the software or how the API works. You might have a conformance document that lists 5 cameras. And that's certainly how Pelco has it. We list a lot of cameras.
Let's say I'm a local installer. I got a small family business. I can't afford to belong to these organizations, don't have the time for it. But I can go to your site, and I know that if I'm selecting this product from these manufacturers, I have the top of the line stuff. That's a benefit to everybody.
It is, and there is a lower user level that we specifically created for the system integrator, end user consultants, and media.
Good. So they can belong at a lower level.
And they can belong at that lower level. That's a $500 membership charge, and they get access for a year.
Well, that's very reasonable.
And they get access to the test tool, so that if they ever have any issues, they can go back and run the test tool. And then they can report if they have any issues. And ONVIF takes reports. We're going to be putting a form on our website soon that allows people to make report issues. So ONVIF can help work with the manufacturer to get these things resolved.
What's a developer's plug fest? That's an intriguing name.
Yes, the plug fests we do 2 a year, and these are where the manufacturers come together and work as a team to make sure that what we're implementing in each other's software back ends is actually working. So they
like
get
plugging
together.
leaks, so to speak.
Exactly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a really good event. I know the developers and the engineers that go, they always report very positive things. They always find issues, and by doing that and having the industry work together, which, by the way, I go back to 10 years ago, this type of activity would have almost been unheard of. Now, when you see manufacturers who are competing against each other, getting in a room and solving industry problems, it's only going to benefit the installers, integrators, dealers, and the end users.
As a member, if I have the latest widget, right, and I got a patent and I don't want anybody to know what it's about, how do we get around that in the organization? I'm not going to share the nuts and bolts of the technology, but am I going to be hesitant to want to participate if I'm in competition with you directly. I imagine people are in competition, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're in open competition. That's one of the rules of membership, that we acknowledge
which
that
builds
fact.
the best product. That's capitalism for you.
Exactly.
All for it. All right.
Exactly. So we are in open competition, but at the same time, any standards organization is working on the core groups of features, right? So what that means to us is that we can still be in competition and have differentiated features. You know, I know in the last 2 weeks we've had hundreds of submissions for new products.
Hundreds?
As they come in. We've been getting lots of new products, and that's because at the ISC West show, a lot of people
that's true,
are launching new products. The thing is, every single one of those companies will have some differentiator in the product, but that core competency of streaming video, audio, access control, whatever that core piece is, that's still going to be there. Now, if you look at I'll just talk about my own product because I know what that is. You know, one of the things that Pelco does is that we have some really new technologies with wide dynamic range and things like that. That doesn't require an API change. That's just, it's still going to work, and the capabilities that those cameras offer is going to be kind of just built in. You don't need any change to ONVIF. And then when we go to the Plugfest, it will still just work. And when we come to a show, when you install it in a site, it will still just work with ONVIF.
What are you doing about terrorism, cyber terrorism, and internet terrorism?
Right.
And I mean, that's what I worry the most about.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the guy in the mall blowing me up. I have a solution for that I carry around in my pocket, right? But, you know, hacking my Quicken, looking at my house on a camera,
right? Those
are serious concerns, and we know, without saying the names, what countries do it. What do you do about your membership? Do you screen your members to make sure they're not part of an evil axis that wants to, hack stuff?
Most of the people that are members are well-known organizations.
Big established organizations,
yeah.
right.
So we don't really have any particular concerns about that.
So a guy from Iraq wheels in a cart of analog cameras and says he wants to join. You're getting a little suspicious and check him out.
We'd probably want to have a look at that.
All right,
but
good.
We're an open organization. We do accept membership applications from all sorts of people. But for that problem hasn't come up. Chuck, I'll let you know if it does.
All right, good.
But I think we're doing okay right now.
How can we learn more about ONVIF?
Well, obviously, if you're at the show, the best thing to do would be to come see our booth. And we have a booth coming up in IFSEC and as is as well. If you want to learn more over the internet, the onvif.org website.
.org. Let's say that again, because everybody types .com. I don't listen.
Yes.
All right, good.
Just search for ONVIF in Google, and you will find us. It will be the first link.
When are we going to have robot security guards? Is it coming?
Robot, that's a profile Z, we'll call it. That might be a couple of years out, but I'd love to join you on that one. Yeah.
One of my clients used to be Idealab, and I got called a couple years ago because a guy wanted me to review a robot he was working on for security. And I said, what are you going to do with it? We're going to sell for $120,000. I said, guards aren't going to buy that, but they're thinking about leasing it. But a serious question, really. Do you think the industry is going towards the technology faster than and going away from the physical body? The physical body was the thing up until 10 years ago. Now the technology's there. You really don't need a guard. In a lot of places, the camera does a better job. The camera doesn't fall asleep, right?
In those large installations, when you're looking at hundreds of potential camera feeds, there's no way one guy behind a desk can look at them all.
Can't do it.
But what technology can do with the use of analytics, with the use of better user interfaces and alert systems, it can help guide that individual into looking at the right place at the right time.
Automatic alarms and pointing you and waking you up and doing stuff. Yeah, we used to put our guards at the studios. They would not look at a camera more than 2 hours.
Right.
And rotate them out. Because their eyes roll up in your head.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, ultimately, the one thing that I don't see for a long time is decision making. When something happens in a site, there has to be a decision made. And I go back to the UAV market. There's a human decision point where you have to decide what to do. Because the thing can fly around all day long and see certain things, but it's not going to pull the trigger. It's not going to report anything back without a human being involved. I think that's going to be the same in the security industry for quite a while.
Who's going to win the World Series?
Well, I watched Back to the Future Part 2 last week, and apparently, according to that movie, the Cubbies are going to win this year. But I'm a Cardinals fan, so I'm probably gonna root for the Cardinals and see what they do this year.
All right. Well, Stuart, great. Thanks a lot. It's been really great talking to you. Thanks for coming on Security Guy Radio.
Thanks.